Hey everybody, I'm Mark from ApplyGodsWord.com, and this is my wife Bethany. Today we're going to talk about 3 ways that we knew that God was leading us to get married. So this is a topic I've talked a lot about on this channel, so I'll leave some links in the description below for all the videos I've done already on this topic. I also have a whole book called The One, How to Know and Trust God's Sovereign Plan for Your Future Marriage. So all the videos I've done so far have been really about things anyone could use on how God will tell them who to marry. So in this video, I wanted to take it a little bit more personal and take the more personal route and talk about just us specifically, which might be different for other people. So this is a little bit of a bonus round, I guess, so to speak, that some of this content wasn't in the book. So we're going to start with Bethany. How did you know you wanted to marry me?
You were just so dreamy.
Besides the obvious things like dashing good looks.
So funny. You made me laugh so hard.
Right.
Like you said, it's all just our own personal story here. So obviously some of these things won't apply to you. But for me, the biggest thing was anytime there was like a conflict or a question of, should this go further? Are we doing the right thing? We started out long distance, so there were, it was just hard to know if we should stick this out and keep going. And so I would always spend time with the Lord, and each time I did that, I felt closer to you, because it was like, I guess in past relationships, anytime I'd spend time with the Lord, I would feel more independent and more confident that I would be okay without the relationship. Mm-hmm. But this was so different because I felt more comfortable going forward in our relationship. Mm-hmm. Like I felt closer to you the closer I got to God. Mm-hmm. So that was a huge confirmation to me, because it put me at ease that I was doing the right thing, because spending time with God made me feel closer to you.
I was when we talked about that before. I thought that was a really good point, because what I've talked about before on the channel, and just that I've thought about myself, is that one thing for me was that I would feel like our relationship would help my walk with God. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I always thought I would never want to marry a woman where it came in between me and God. But I thought you had a great, the other side of it, where when you spend time with God, you actually felt closer to me. Mm-hmm. And as good confirmation. So I thought that was an interesting point. Yeah. One point that I had where I personally felt like, okay, this is a really strong sign that God is leading me to marry Bethany, is really what I kind of just talked about, but specifically with ministry and just kind of life trajectory. Mm-hmm. I just, I'll link to a video where we talk about our story. Well, I share our story more, so I won't get into all that now. But long story short, we met on a missions trip, and so I knew then, and just kind of talking to you, where you're going in life, I felt like, well, I could do what I feel like God's calling me to do. I don't know exactly what it is, but I feel like I want to make risks for God. I want to not feel held back if mm-hmm. God did call us to be missionaries, or God did call us to get into full-time ministry, or if he didn't. I just knew that you and I were headed in the same direction, mm-hmm. and we're willing to follow God wherever he led us. And so that was comforting to me, because I didn't exactly know where we would be or what God would call us to do, but I felt very comfortable, and that you and I both had the same life trajectory. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a good takeaway for people who are wondering, should I consider this person or not? It's a very practical thing. if you one person wants to be a full-time missionary, for example, and the other person wants to not, that's a huge difference, you know what I mean? Or just all those big decisions, having kids or not having kids, or but yeah, those are big things.
Yeah. And then more on like the practical side of our relationship, there's just so many ways that like we fit together as far as like personality wise. I felt like I didn't ever want to be too like smothered. It's a little scary for me. So we both, I don't know, I've always been pretty independent, and so you've been really like, just let me do my thing.
Yeah, because like the stories you told me, yeah, just like people you dated before, like you would always like be kind of like so needy, you know, and it's like I think that's another thing for me too. It's like we spend a lot, obviously. I mean, we spend all our time together as a family, and we're always doing things together. But I think it's not so much about like time or like practical side, but it's just like that feeling of like needing someone to fill you, you know, where it's like you feel that pressure. This person is like, I'm not happy, and it's because of you.
Yeah.
You know,
I
like,
need you to make me
you're
happy.
not making me happy.
Yeah.
And like I feel like a lot of relationships get into that mode of like, let's just try to make each other happy.
Yeah.
You know, and I think right from the start, you and I kind of had a perspective of like knowing we're not going to make each other fully happy. I mean, obviously you always slip into that when you're sinning and everything, and you idolize each other or something. But I think right from the start we had the perspective of like God's the one who makes us happy, and a marriage is like joining with someone who's like to join on the journey and to like enjoy what God's doing together. Because that's one thing I always thought of. I'm like, I'm content with God, but like I want to be able to enjoy all these amazing things that God's doing, like with somebody, you know, like, and God wired us that way. So, so yeah, I get what you're saying with the practical stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
And I think too, like even on like a personality level, like we, last few years we've been kind of learning a lot about like personality traits and things like that. And I definitely don't think this is a requirement, because you can certainly be married to someone completely different than you, like personality wise. But I think you and I felt really comfortable with each other because we both enjoy a lot of the same things, like a little bit more on the introverted side. So we like doing stuff, but then we kind of decompress in the same ways. And so maybe the best way to summarize it is that we were comfortable being ourselves around each other.
And we didn't need that other person to be something that they weren't, or we didn't need that other person to fulfill something that was missing in our own self. So
yeah. So those were just a few tips and kind of from our personal experience of how we felt like God was leading us together. As I talk about in the book, there's some things that are biblically standard for everybody. You know, in the book I talk about the 3 ways God will lead you and speak to you: through His Word, through His Spirit, and through the circumstances in your life. So if you're interested in learning more about how to know who God will tell you who to marry, you might really want to check out this book. I have it on sale right now for just $2.99 in the Kindle version, and as you see, it's in paperback too. So both of these are available on Amazon. I'll leave a link for these books, the Kindle version and the paperback, in the description below. Well, thanks for watching, and God bless. Lois, were you trying to make noise when we were filming? Were you making noise when we were filming, Lois? Are you ashamed of yourself? Are you ashamed? It's okay, Lois. It's okay. It's okay, baby. It's okay.